Today, we're going to be starting with the speakers for a little while. And please limit your talk to 5 minutes. No laughing. We're serious here. It's a serious occasion. If I was in charge of the government, we'd have a military parade today. We could celebrate the occasion. But unfortunately, we only have our own parade of devotees. And we'll start off today with some of our visiting devotees from Dallas. Kartikeya Prabhu, please take the stand. And after that, his bitter half will be speaking.
Hare Krishna. Namah Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Tinamine Jila Gurudev Vyasa Puja Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. I wrote something. Jabaladev asked me not to read it, to speak spontaneously. So But I like to stay with the theme of my writing, if I can remember all the details. It's short. So I was reflecting when I was thinking of Gurudev Vyasa Puja and what to write. I was reflecting on the meaning of causeless mercy. And, I was born and raised in Argentina, a family and a country of meat eaters. Had no idea of Krishna. I never met the devotees in Argentina or anything, but somehow or another I felt that there was more. The only thing I remember, I don't know how this happened, with some friends we used to, maybe around 1970, we used to go and play bowling someplace, and there was one of those music machines. And I don't even know why I heard the song, and then every time I went, I just keep put coins to playing My Sweet Lord. Okay, so I got to hear, Hare Krishna there. I don't know why, I just like the song, but I felt really attracted to it. And with a friend, we decided we're going to leave Argentina and come to the United States, looking for what else is there. What is, whatever we live in, there got to be more than what we are doing right now. So anyway, so in this thinking like that, it was almost like at one point, Krishna, maybe after hearing that song, I don't know why, because I don't think I was a devotee in my past life. He picked me up from Buenos Aires and brought me all the way to Fort Lauderdale, Florida. Just boom, boom. And in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, as I got there, within a month, I met Nandini, which I believe she was a devotee in her past life. And I felt, okay, Krishna causes mercy, brought me to meet Nandini over here. She was Nancy at the time. And she was basically a vegetarian. I wasn't, but anyway, little by little. And then we moved to Dallas in about 1979, and in 1981 we met the devotees. And and we were fortunate enough to be introduced to Srila Gurudev. And Gurudev, very shortly, we were living in North Dallas with all kinds of furniture in a 2-story home and king-size beds and the whole thing. And he says, why don't you move in the community? Just like that. And, you couldn't, when he says something like that, it wasn't just wishful thinking, behind that. He knew, so costless mercy, he got us out of North Dallas, walk us right into the community. The first house we move in the community is where Matura North and Lila live now, these days. And, and then after we move in the community, just shortly after that, maybe a year or so, he offered us initiation. I couldn't imagine that a mudha like myself could get initiation from a devotee like Srila Gurudev, and again, the concept of cosmos just keep coming along in every one of these steps. So anyway, I'm going to read this part. And that was, I said, that was your closest mercy. That was the love and determination you had, Srila Gurudev, to save a fallen soul like myself and so many others. By the encouraging and firm faith of my wife in you, your love and your teachings, we moved in. It's like Krishna arranged everything perfectly with his mystic potencies to begin my spiritual journey home. Thank you, Srila Gurudev, and thank you to my dear wife today, Nandini, and for this. And then, when you gave us initiation, you offered us initiation, you took us under your shelter, gave us the holy name, the Parampara, and Srila Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya, Nityananda Prabhu. How can I ever repay you? So I recall that Srila Prabhupada told you, Gurudev, you were saying that in one video, that there is no limit to the mercy of Lord Nityananda. And you, as his representative, have shown that there is no limit to your causeless mercy as well. So thank you, Srila Gurudev. Thank you, all you dear devotees, who, not just the class Mother Guru Priya was saying today, no Guru Priya, Guru Bhakti was saying today, that it's not only the advanced Vaishnava that is important, but the people that follow the advanced Vaishnava. So thank you all very much, because the causeless mercy of Srila Gurudev has extended in you by all of you giving me your causeless mercy. Thank you very much. Jai Srila Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Thank you for the lovely offering. And we can see by what he said that the marriages in Krishna consciousness actually work. And so now, to confirm that, we'll ask Mother Nandini to speak. And after that will be His Grace Mahari.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Vamsakalpachurishya kripasindhivyocha patitanam pavanevyo vaishnavevyo namo namaha. I first of all feel so enlivened to be here in Houston with our dear God brothers and God sisters. And just wanted to say how I told Guru Bhakti and Guru Priya, who dressed. I just love Madhava, Nila Madhava in his shorts. And she said Srila Gurudev loved him in those shorts. So there it is, an offering. So I just thought I would say one, I'm not going to read my offering, but I just thought I would reflect on my japa mala. So, so Gurudev was in the hallway and I approached him
Recording in progress.
and told him that I lost my mala. That when we first got initiated, many of us had neem mala, and I had lost my mala. And so when my dear great sage Chandravali went to Vrindavan, I told her I needed some tulsi mala. So she said, and I told Gurudev that, she said, I got your tulsi mala. I sprinkled Yamuna water on them. I put them at the lotus feet of Radha Shyamasundar, Krishna Balaram, Gornatai. And I told Gurudev all this. And he was in the hallway looking at me and he said, yes. And I was like, my knees were weak. And I said, so I was praying you would chant on these mala for me so that I can, they can be purified by your chanting. And he went, well, what happened to your initiation beads? And I was like, I said, I lost my initiation beads, but I told him how sacred these were. And so he looked at me and finally he said, okay, give me those beads. And so I still have those mala. And one time I'd come to Dallas for Vyasa Puja ceremony. We were living in Puerto Rico and I had those mala with me. And I went and got a yogurt right there. And I got on the plane and they were just about to close the doors. And I went, God, I don't have my mala. I don't have these sacred mala. The guru chanted on. So I said, wait, don't close the doors. I've got to go out. And I remembered I had just set them down where I got that yogurt. And I got those mala and went back on the plane and realized, no, like I'll never take these mala anywhere. I only chant them at home. And a side note was one of the beads broke off of my mala. And so Radha Vinod, who also painted my tilak on my Prabhupada Murti, and my Prabhupada Murti is playing kartals, so beautiful he is. He said, so Nandini, don't worry, I'm going to fix this. And he's just, a magician. And somehow he did this wire thing. So the mala was complete. And he said, don't worry, just keep that bead. And when you go to Vrindavan, they'll fix it. And just chant an extra, mantra so you get all your mantras done. So that's just a sweet little. I got my mala, sure, and you fixed those. Yeah, they waited for me. I was freaking out. Yeah, they waited. And the plane took off. They were laughing. Some people applauded. It was really beautiful. So that's a little mala pastime. Gurudeva ki jai, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Mother Nandini. I'll tell a quick side note about Mother Nandini. I was in the car with Gurudev once and Mukunda Goswami, and we were in Dallas, and then he saw Mother Nandini, and he told Mukunda Maharaj, oh, you have to meet Mother Nandini. He called her over. So he had very high regards for her. And now we'd like to hear from Mahari Prabhu. Yeah, wake up. After him will be Rupen Prabhu.
Enter.
Okay, I'm okay with this.
Hare Krishna.
Muted.
Namo Buddhaya Namaskaya Bhutale Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Namane Vanchakalpa Tarubhyascha Sindhubhya Bhavadibhyo Bhyo Namo Namaha. So I wrote something. It's I'm a little bit bewildered. I want to just speak because it's like having a conversation right here, but I can't. I got to read, especially after Kartikeya. I got to read it. Okay, it's called The Inconceivable Mercy of Our Spiritual Master, Srila Gurudev. From the very day we first walked through the temple room doors, Krishna accepted us as his own. Of course, we're old friends, Krishna and us. But although he hasn't forgot us for even a single moment, we've completely forgotten him. We rejected him in every conceivable way until there was no trace of him within our memories. And we adopted a false persona of I, me, and mine. So Krishna's accepting us again was for the single and solitary reason that Srila Gurudev asked him to do so. Fanning the spark. It is said that there are 6 types of human beings: those who see only the bad in someone else, those who see both good and bad in others and choose the bad, those who see a little bad in someone and choose to make it very big. These are 3. Then there are those who see both good and bad in others and choose the good, those who see only good in others, and then there are the devotees who see a little bit of good in someone and choose to make it very big. Anartha Nivritti. What comes next after walking through those doors and after the euphoria of the initial reunion dies down is not without some difficulty. And if we think those beginning days weren't easy for me, then just try to imagine what they were like for Srila Gurudev. He initiated us, named us, took our karma on himself. He dressed us, decorated us, and fed us. He ate with us and ate what we cooked for him. He showered us with love, charmed us, and endeared himself to us. He traveled constantly for our benefit. He constantly endeavored to keep us together. He protected us, and he warned us of impending dangers. He chastised, corrected, guided, and taught us. He gave us gifts, awarded us, and entertained us. He married us, both named and played with our children. He thought of us constantly and worried. He reached out to us, even when we did not reach out to him. He celebrated our victories and grieved for our losses. He encouraged us, joked with us, and teased us. I've always moved slowly. He would sometimes look at me, shake his head, and in a sort of a sing-song voice say, Mahari's not in very much of a hurry. He did all of this at the same time and along with everything else that he accomplished. And as if all that wasn't enough, his greatest, most inconceivable mercy of all is this. His inconceivable mercy.
We cannot possibly even begin to understand what Krishna has in store for each and every one of us. We cannot know it in even our wildest dreams. We can't read about it, and no one can tell us about it. It can only be personally experienced by us. But even then, our perception and understanding of it will go on expanding and increasing eternally, and thus we can never fully understand it. It's inconceivable. And all of this is the inconceivable mercy of our Divine Master, Srila Guru, your disciple, servant, and loving Son, eternally, Maha.
Next speaker is Rubanuga Prabhu. And then after that, we have another visitor, Ananda Vrindavan Devidasi.
Really? The microphones have been here many years, so have I. I think it's in better shape. Krishna Vadaya, Krishna Pastaya Bhutale, Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami. So Gurudev, the most compassionate person that I've ever known. You know, when we first came in 79 to Dallas, it was tough. And we had a hard time, so we left. And our idea was to move to New Taliban, which we're going to visit after this celebration today. Beautiful place there. And we were really determined that we would live in New Taliban. I would drive back and forth to New Orleans, which is about an hour across the Pontchartrain Lake Causeway. And so we had this set up, and we Nityananda Das, who was a disciple of Prabhupada, he was running the show there at New Taliban, and so when we thought about leaving Dallas, I gave him a call and said, "You have a place that we can rent there." And I told him what my idea was, that my wife and my children would stay there in the community, and I would go back and forth to New Orleans to. So plans were complete. I'd gone to New Orleans. Plans were complete. I'd gone.
Oh my God. No, it's just the way it was sent to me. I can't.
Can everybody mute, please?
Shall I continue or wait? So anyhow, look who's here. Howdy will. You never know where in the world this man is going to pop up. It could be Mayapur, it could be Vrindavan, could be Houston, could be wherever. He has a way of finding us. So I got my first book in 73, and a matter of fact, today is the 14th. Yesterday was the 13th. So it had been 1973 to 2005. Yesterday was the date on which I received my first piece of literature, first heard the name Krishna. Didn't know anything. And so that was the beginning. And it wasn't until 1977 that we really came into close association with devotees, and that was Jivananda and Bhakti Lata living in Knoxville, Tennessee. They had just taken initiation up at Gita Nagari and had come back, set up a little temple room in their house in Knoxville. And we happened to call, online thing, found the number in the directory, and I called them. And so that began our association. But it was from 1973, and then sometime in 1977, I'd already been in touch with Dristadumna Swami in Dallas, and of course there was the Gurudev there, and we got that Srila Prabhupada had given up his body. And so from 1973 to 1977, I was doing something, but I wasn't taking initiation from Prabhupada. And I wondered about that later. Why is it that as interested as I was in Krishna consciousness, that I did not get the opportunity to be in the presence of Prabhupada, nor to take initiation from him? And then we met Tamal Krishna Goswami in Knoxville, Tennessee, at Jivananda's house. Pretty shortly thereafter, I guess that was in 78, maybe. By the time we was that Materna, was that when it was that Gurudev came through Tennessee? Was it 78? I believe it was. Anyhow, he came and stopped in Memphis, stopped in Nashville, and then came to Knoxville. You know, picking. We could call that cherry picking, but we weren't exactly cherries. We were something else. It was not quite as delectable as cherries would have been. But so I wondered later on, why was it that I did not get the opportunity to take initiation from Srila Prabhupada? And then I realized that if I had done so, and Prabhupada had left the planet in 77, as he did, that I might have been like so many other people at that time that we've heard about, that, you know, kind of lost faith after Prabhupada's departure, because things were not going exactly as they thought they should be going. At least that was my understanding. I could be completely wrong about that, but I was thinking that Prabhupada saved us by arranging for us that we had his very devoted follower, Tamal Krishna Goswami, to come after him. And it was just almost like it was almost seamless. I'm very happy to wait. Wrap it up. Okay. So then Gurudev got us, Maternat, Radhanath, and Jivananda to all move to Dallas in 79. And so we tried it for about 5 months. We had a lot of difficulties at that time, but we left and decided to go to New Taliban. And then Gurudev sent Jivananda and Bhaktilata at Christmas of 79 to come by our parents' home in Mississippi, where we were staying at that time, getting ready to go to New Taliban. And Jivananda said, Srila Gurudev is just asking you to write to him. So we did. Jayanti wrote her letter, I wrote my letter, and Gurudev responded to each one individually, separately. And so we made the decision we should move back to Dallas. And so I think based on what I have heard was going on through the years at New Taliban, they had difficulties too, that we might not have come out unscathed had we moved to New Taliban. So I think, you know, Gurudev, I've always said he can see much farther down the road than I can see. And I think he realized that they're not going to stand a chance if they go to New Taliban. Jayanti is such a hard-headed case, you know, she's got to come to Dallas, and I'm going to give her something to do when she gets here to engage her time. And so that's what happened. And I just kind of bumbled along, you know, just trying to raise enough money to keep my family afloat. And so everything is worked out. But I was just thinking, seems like we got the special mercy from Prabhupada to get the mercy from Gurudev And it just worked out. And things are like that, aren't they? Hare Krishna.
Mother, Mother Ananda Vrindavan. And after that, the speaker will be our esteemed temple president and JBC rolled into one, Saranga Thakur Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I'm not really a storyteller, but I try my best. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Vishnu Bhagavate Shrimati Tamal Krishna. When I first met Srila Gurudev, I don't actually, when he first came to the Philippines, it was Hansaduta time. And at the time, everybody knows he fell down. And Tamal Krishna Maharaj is supposed to be in charge of the Philippine Yatra. And when he came, he get a hard time coming in because all the devotees at the time are very dieharded of Hansaduta. So many times he attempted to come to take over the temple, but the devotees are resisting. They're not allowing him to come at all, Cebu or Manila. So he tried different ways to try to take it over, but he can't because all the devotees are resisting so hard. Anyway, he asked one of my friend he asked the devotees who went with him and surrendered to him and ask who's in there that I can capture so everybody will follow. So they told Srila Gurudev, at the time I was Ananta. And they said, take Ananta. And yeah, so Srila Gurudev sent different devotees because I'm a Sankirtan devotee. I'm always out book distribution everywhere. And he sent the devotees to find where I am. And he sent different devotees to talk to me and convince me to come and see Srila Gurudev. And at that time, my mentality also, diehard of Hansaduta, I keep resisting. No, I can't. So, but Srila Gurudev is so determined to get me at the time, and I keep resisting. Finally, I give in. I think of myself, why am I resisting? He's a pure devotee. I should go there at least just to pay my respect. And that's about it, and I walk away. But Srila Gurudev had different plan on me. He's very expert. So he's sending different devotees just to get me. Finally, I surrender. I said, okay, I'm just gonna pay my respect because after all, he's a pure devotee. So I'll just go and then come back. So when I went there, he was so nice, beautiful smile, very kind. And anyway, we talked for 6 hours and talk to me. He's so powerful. Who can resist Srila Gurudev? And finally I surrender. What? Did anybody? Anyway, so I surrendered to him. And then he already arranged a room for me to stay. He already planned everything. So he has a room for me next to his room. And so I don't be able to go back to the temple, and all the devotees in the temple, where is Ananta? Where is Ananta? They're looking for me. And then somebody tell them that she is with Srila Gurudev. So when they heard that I'm with Srila Gurudev already, then the gate opened. Then Srila Gurudev come in. He captured all the Philippine Yatra. And, and then he has to capture Cebu. And so first time in my life, I never ride an airplane. My first experience riding airplane is with Srila Gurudev, because every time I travel, we always travel by boat. And, so he fly me to Cebu. And then when they heard that I'm with Srila Gurudev, then the gate opened. Yeah. So Srila Gurudev is so merciful and very kind. I really, really miss him a lot. And he said to me, Ananda Vrindavan, you are the apple of my eyes. Thank you very much.
Thank you for that lovely offering. I was actually, as a bhakti leader, I was trained up by Kalakanta Prabhu. And he told me, because Prabhupada said there's Brahmin on every street corner, what he said is all you have to do is set up a room, has everything in it, toothbrush, everything, soap. Krishna will send the devotees. So Gurudev did the same thing.
नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते तमाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी निधि नामिनी नमस्ते नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्ण प्रस्थाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी निधि नामिनी नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशता वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः हरे कृष्ण Srila Gurudev is a remarkable person in our lives, all of our lives. His intelligence, his insight, and his vision, and his association with Srila Prabhupada made him uniquely qualified to give vision and guidance for generations to come. I had good fortune of meeting him, or at least hearing him the first time I stepped on this property, on this premises, almost 25 years ago. Of course, I didn't have much direct association after that, but I had so much association of him through so many wonderful disciples of him that have guided me for the past 25 years. I mean, they have been my Shiksha gurus, they have my management gurus, they have been my deity worship gurus, and so in so many ways, they have made not only myself, but an entire next generation of devotees that may have never met Srila Gurudev, but to date, they're all still remembering his vision and pursuing his vision to make our Krishna consciousness movement, especially here in Houston, as a offering and to meet his visionary goals. Of course, Srila Gurudev is very extremely rare kind of personality to find someone so spiritually attuned, but at the same time, he was so astute in worldly matters, in giving instructions, in so many different aspects of it, on management, how you have to manage temple, how you have to manage finances, so in so many ways. And he knew, he was conscious of each and every person's mentality and psychology and mood and sincerity, and accordingly, he showered his compassion and he showered his mercy. Obviously, some devotees, I mean, I hear stories of how they got the sauce from him. And some devotees were mentioned he was so sweet and so kind to them. I mean, but he knew exactly how to deal with each and every different type of personality. And of course, his presence made so many devotees to sustain their devotional service for so many years, even after he left all of us almost 23 years ago. But we still remember him in each and every activity or service that we do on a daily basis. And that's the greatness of his Srila Gurudev, and his unique capacity to provide shelter, either directly or indirectly, for so many of us, whether we met him or whether we had so much direct association or not. He is still giving us so much shelter, and whether directly or indirectly, even to the point that a few weeks ago, a devotee came to me and he mentioned that Goswami Maharaj appeared in his dream, and he supposedly told this devotee that you talk to Saranga Thakur and advise him to be careful for certain matters. Supposedly, he felt that there could be some I guess negative effects that could happen to me. I mean, it was so kind of Srila Gurudev. I mean, and then this devotee came to me and he said he revealed this thing, and he said, and Goswami Maharaj supposedly suggested some mitigation things on how I can incorporate some additional devotional aspects to my devotional practice, so that I can mitigate those things. So it was, I mean, it's so kind. I mean, Srila Gurudev has been so kind and he's being kind to all of us in so many different ways, whether he's physically present or not among us. And of course, this brings to me a quote that I dearly meditate on. This is a message that in a letter to a disciple that Srila Gurudev wrote. Yes, you are remembering me always, and so I similarly am remembering you. And this is our pact of love. The loving relationship between the spiritual master and disciple is meant to withstand the onslaught of time, even beyond the collapse of the universe. So let us pray to Srila Gurudev to give us the strength and the wisdom and some mood of serving Srila Prabhupada throughout our lives, to the last breath of our lives, and to inspire so many other new coming generations to, in the same way that Srila Gurudev served Srila Prabhupada, we can also take that mood and we can continue to serve Srila Prabhupada. Thank you. Hare Krishna. Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Next speaker will be Radha Vinod Prabhu. After that, we're going to ask Mother Chandravali.
Mom Shubhaya Krishna Prastha Utale Simate Tamal Krishna Goswami Iti Namine. Hare Krishna. I wasn't planning to do this. I get too nervous and I couldn't find my offering either. You have it? I guess he wanted us to speak from the heart. That's a problem. I remember the first part of my offering. So last year, actually this year, I'm mentoring some aspiring disciples for Mahatma Prabhu. And I got this lady from India. And, we introduce itself. That's how the first introduction. Hello, my name is Ruben and Ananda. I'm a disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. And the reply was, oh my God, a disciple of Tamal Krishna Maharaj. I love him so much. And I felt like what that means, so much importance to be one of your disciples. I felt like a new veil coming to me, and I went deep in thinking what that means. Now, what's my position in this? So I don't remember the rest of the offering, but Sugar Dave, I think in the 80s when I joined, if you tell somebody you love you, probably you are out of the temple, but then the next day wasn't that kind of thing. But I think I learned to love you and feel your love coming back, and it's an energy that propels our life, and it's just a little beginning, but it's a taste of what I think in the last years of your life, you were talking so much about love between devotees, between the spiritual master and the disciple. I always remember what you wrote to this lady, Vrindavaneshwari, when you said, and finally I was able to reveal my love to Kirtida, and was very liberating. So, those words resonate, and I will never forget them. And I think you initiated that. You always look for that side of love and revealing our hearts and connecting in that level. And in that same letter said, this is what the spiritual world is all about. It's all about love and expressing and feeling that love. So you're an acharya, and you're guiding us in this line also, in a line of deep emotions, and you're channeling us, teaching us, and bringing us to that. As all these God brothers were gracefully aging, so you're bringing us to that platform of living in this pure mood of bhakti, to desiring this level of bhakti. So I want to continue to pray for the guidance, for connecting in a loving relationship, and I thank you for everything, Srila Gurudev. Hare Krishna.
Mother Chandravali. And after that, we're going to have Maternath Prabhu.
Gurudeva. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Namine Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shanyavadi Prashchacha Deshatarine Jai Shri Gurudev. So Gurudev always wanted us to speak from the heart. And after a few years, I realized I must not have a heart because I would get so nervous. Anyway, it's been 46 years. 46 years. On June the 14th. Yeah. That I took initiation along with a few others that are here. Maturanath, Mahari, Yeah, or June. Yeah. It's been a long time. And so in the lecture, the initiation lecture, Gurudev said, this one point that really struck me. He said, you have to give up something that you don't want to give up. And you have to accept something that you don't want to accept for the pleasure of Krishna. So to that meant to me that pleasing Krishna was not going to be easy. But Gurudev had impressed me so much from the first time that I heard him give the Radhastami lecture in St. Louis in September of 1978 that I was very eager to hear more. After that would be evening darshans, where he spoke with such clarity of purpose about the basics of Krishna consciousness that I was ready to take him as my spiritual master after a little over 1 month. He was such a master of how to pinpoint just what a person needed to hear with Shastric verses, practical examples, and his own realizations. And he traveled the world, following tirelessly in the footsteps of his spiritual master, Srila Prabhupada. If you look at tkgtm.com, you can see just how many countries he traveled to and from. And most of us have had the experience of Gurudev speaking to you one-on-one in such a caring way that you felt like you had this special relationship with him that no one else had. It was like he was reading your heart. For example, I was a traveling Sankirtan devotee for 10 years before I became the head pujari in Dallas. I was sharing a 2-room place with one god sister who was a temple devotee. I mean, she did service in the temple. I had my room and she had her room. But I was going out on traveling Sankirtan with a different god sister. Everything was fine for a while, but little by little, every time I came back from traveling Sankirtan, she was moving her things into my room. I thought, okay, I'm not here that much. Maybe she's just running out of room for her things. And I'm gone a lot, don't worry about it. I didn't want to complain. But it was about to get the best of me. But my favorite verse in Bhagavad Gita was always mantra sparshasta kunteya shito sna sukadukada agaya payino nityas tam titiksha swabharata. The non-permanent appearance of happiness and distress, heat and cold, summer and winter, they're just arising from sense perception, and one must learn to tolerate them without being disturbed. So, okay, so I was trying to learn how to be tolerant, and I said, this is a test. Krishna's testing me. So, like I said, but soon it began to get the best of me, but I just didn't want to complain. I didn't want to argue with her and so many things that arise from devotee disputes. So, but then one fine day, the Sankirtan leader came and said, Guru said you should have your own place. You're older now and you need your space. So I got a place with a living room, kitchen, bedroom, and bathroom all to myself. Now, don't tell me that Gurudev doesn't know your heart. I'm not going to speak more than 5 minutes, but Gurudev knows your heart, even now. Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Yay.
So I put my spontaneity on notes because when you get old, you got to have notes. So so first of all, I just want to thank all the Houston devotees for hosting the Vyasa Puja this year. Srila Gurudev really liked it when we all got together. So maybe we can start the back and forth again soon. So if you listen to the Guru Bhakti's class this morning, you know, it's talking about Srila Gurudev's legacy, and we know what an amazing legacy that he left us with. You know, it said that when Prabhupada would have an impossible task, he would almost always ask Srila Gurudev to take up that task, and we know he would, with his determination, he would do what we would consider to be impossible things. And if you ever spend any time with Srila Gurudev, I was thinking there was also these little miracles that he did. It was things that people would say, oh, that's just due to luck or that's just by chance. So I was thinking of a few of the things that he did that just amazed me, and I just call them like little miracles. Once, you know, Srila Gurudev liked to take a nap after he ate lunch. And usually he would say, wake me up in 10 minutes. And I'd say, 10 minutes? It takes me 10 minutes to get to sleep. And so, but he would, you know, and then you didn't really want to wake him up, but you knew if you didn't, he would get upset with you. So in 10 minutes, you wake him up. So one day he had lunch and he was going to take a nap, and there were some construction workers working on the street, and they had a jackhammer. And he said, can you go tell them to go somewhere else? That I'm going to take a nap. And so I looked out the window and I saw these big burly guys with a jackhammer, and I thought, I thought they'll probably jackhammer me if I go out there, you know. So anyway, I thought, okay, he asked me to do it. So I went out there and said, hey guys, we have a special guest here that wants to take a nap. Could you guys pack up and go somewhere else? And they said, yeah, okay. And they just left, you know. So I thought, geez, it's like, you know, it says with the
big celebration is in Houston.
power to be able to do it. So another time we were, when Srila Gurudev was at Vyasa Puja, and we used to have it at the Oklahoma farm, you know, Srila Gurudev, he learned to drive at the farm. Actually, he had that Ram, remember he had the Ram Charger, and he would drive it across those fields and things. And so then he would learn to drive back and forth to the Dallas temple. And he used to kind of brag to me that he set the record for the time to get from the farm to Dallas, you know, because he liked to go fast. So we rented him this Lincoln Continental, and I was driving him back, and he said, okay, keep it between 95 and 100. And I said, okay. So I asked Gopal what the speed limit was back then. I think it was like 60. So I'm doing like just flying down the road, and all of a sudden we come over a hill, and remember they used to have those gooseneck radar things? We went right through one of them, and I started slowing down, and Srila Gurudev said, why are you slowing down? I said, Srila Gurudev was radar right there. And sure enough, we got down a little bit, and there was police car, state trooper sitting there. And I thought, oh my God, we were doing like 35, 40 miles over the speed limit. They're going to get us. So we went past the state trooper, and I'm looking in my rear mirror, and Srila Gurudev said, are they coming? And I said, I don't see them yet. We go a little further, and he said, are they coming now? And I said, no, I don't think they're going to come, Srila Gurudev. And he said, why do you think they didn't pull us over? And I said, well, only thing I can think of, Srila Gurudev, is your effulgence must have blocked their radar. So they was like that. So, and then once he was in Galveston, it was myself, Jivananda, and Pandava Vijay, and Srila Gurudev, something came up, and he had to leave the next day. He had to fly out. So he asked Jivananda to go. And back then they had the phone booths where you put the coin in, and a lot of you young people don't even know what those are. But so we went down, and Jivananda called, and they said he wanted to fly out the next day, and they said, sir, we're totally booked. As a matter of fact, we're overbooked. And so Jivananda went back and told Srila Gurudev, and he said, no, go back and try again. So Jivananda, we went back to the phone booth, and Jivananda called, and lady told him the same thing. We were totally booked on the flight. So he goes back to Srila Gurudev. Srila Gurudev said, you don't understand the instruction of the spiritual master. He said, you have to have faith. Go back and try again. So Jivananda looked at me and I said, okay, let's go try again. So we went back, and Jivananda got the same lady he got the first time because he was making a reservation for Thomas Herzig. And so the lady said, sir, didn't you call earlier? And he said, yeah. And she said, well, I already told you there's nothing. Oh, wait a minute. Somebody just canceled. And because you're so persistent, we're going to give it to you. So they gave him the flight. So, and this is kind of a small one, but once Srila Gurudev had a fly flying around his office, and he buzzed me, and I came in, he said, catch that fly. And so I was trying to catch the fly, and Srila Gurudev said, turn out, he said, flies, you don't understand. They have 360-degree vision. And he started telling me all about what a fly, all about, and I thought, how does he know these things? And so he said, you can't go from behind. You have to start at the top, and then you come down and swoop up. He said, here, let me show you. He goes, he got the fly, and he went, Hare Krishna, and he put him out the door. And I thought that fly just skipped about 5,000 verse, from so. And we've all had the experience of you'll be meeting with Srila Gurudev, and he'll say, I know what you're thinking, and he'll tell you exactly what you were thinking. How many of you had that experience? I mean, so many people. Yeah, it was almost like you think, did he read my mind? I mean, how does he know? How does he know these things? And then also, I was thinking Srila Gurudev also it was like he almost could see the future, because he was always a few steps ahead of the movement itself. He would do things like take us out of the airports, book distribution, or have the householders go get jobs, things like that he would get criticized a little bit for, but then the movement would catch up to him, and then he'd be a few steps ahead also. So this is the power of a pure devotee like Srila Gurudev. And so tomorrow is Father's Day. So I just wanted to say, Srila Gurudev, thank you so much for being such a wonderful spiritual father and for guiding all of us. Thank you so much. Srila Gurudev, Ki Jai.
Next speaker will be Mother Jayanti.
It appears that this particular Vyasa Puja celebration is the ocean of mercy that we're showing that Srila Gurudev has offered to each of us. I think he offered the ocean of mercy to me without my asking. I had no desire to come to a Krishna conscious community, even after hearing a little bit about Krishna consciousness. Rupanuga Prabhu was able to become interested right away. He was bored. He was disgruntled with the work world. But I was happy. I had one little baby, and we were living in the country and enjoying being in the mountains in Tennessee. If any of you have been there, you know what a beautiful place it is. And we were living in a situation that was very, very peaceful most of the time. There were times when there were some problems, but most of the time I was happy. And I had no desire to leave it. But somehow or other, Gurudev knew exactly what I needed. And he accomplished that by tricking us into coming to Dallas. And so we ended up there with me kicking and screaming and not wanting to be there and not really happy. And matter of fact, I probably was the most unhappy I've ever been in my life when we first moved there. I had a brand new baby who was 3 months old who started having seizures the week after we got there. Grand mal seizures, 12 a day. I don't know how many at night, but around 12 each day. And 2 other little children to take care of as well. One who was immediately whisked off to the ashram. And here I was in a situation living in a home with other people. Matter of fact, we had 3 families in our house. It was us and the guest house. And I think Mother, what was her name from California? Krodashamani, yeah, and Gopal Bhatta Prabhu and their children and them, our children and us, and the guest house. And so it was a very disturbing time in my life. I spent most of that time in Children's Hospital with this baby that was sick, and eventually was able to get to the point that the doctors thought they had helped with the problem he had. So we left because we just were exhausted and we were being tested. And so when we came back to Dallas, after Gurudev wrote and asked us to come back, when we came back, I was happy to be back. I don't know what changed. I don't know how it changed, but I was happy to come back. And even though my son had gotten better and was doing much, much better away from the temple, when we came back to the temple, he immediately got sick again and was going down. And the doctor said, maybe 2 weeks. He has maybe 2 more weeks. And during that time, Srila Gurudev was in China. And I phoned him in China and asked him, what do I do? And he told me, mark him with tilak, keep chanting going around him, put pictures of Krishna around him, and pray to Krishna. He said, and give him Charnamrita every day, a little drop of Charnamrita. So I followed his instructions, and my faith grew like you would not believe during that time. And he, somehow or other, Gurudev sent the answer. And I went in to get vitamins for one of my other children and saw the answer in a box that was filled with B vitamins that we were giving him, except one had run out. And we weren't giving him that one anymore because the doctor said it wasn't important. I went and got some of those same vitamins at the health food store and started feeding them to him like you would a chicken, you know, just poking them in his mouth every few minutes. And to our amazement, within 2 days, he tried to crawl again, and he was completely incapacitated. We had to turn him over in bed. And the doctors had said 2 weeks. And I was thinking it was going to be more like 2 days every day. But Gurudev gave me faith through this. And I call Bart my child of faith because he was the method of transferring Gurudev's love to me in that way. So I have nothing but love for Gurudev and all of you because you also have love for Gurudev. So you're my family and I love you all. Hare Krishna.
You know, the fortune of having some of Gurudev's godbrothers here First speaker will be Hanumat Prakash Swami.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna Maha Mantra ki jai. I'm mostly have come to listen. That's why I'm here, the whole process like that. I started coming to I got a Krishna book from Buddhimanta at the University of California. And he sold me volume 2 of 2 volumes of the Krishna book. Then later on, I figured out that he sold me the second volume of the book, and I didn't have the first volume, you know. And then I was reading it for 1 year, and you know, it was very strange. It was just, I read a lot of science fiction. I was studying at the university, very serious programs, and Prabhupada's book was just so rational. You know, such a, you know, I never met such a clear description of monotheism and everything else, but simultaneously he was talking about, you know, Balaram chopping off all the arms of, you know, of Jarasanda's soldiers and all these things, that as if it was just a fact, you know. I was like, wow, you know. So I mentioned this before, but I was sitting there at one point reading this book at the University of California at Davis with the whole hippie culture and all this Asian stuff. And my mind said, this is either the biggest lie or the absolute truth, you know? Then my intelligence said, if it's an absolute lie or the absolute truth, in either case, it's absolute. And I realized that, yeah, it was just self-evident. This is nothing like this. This is just, you know, a different world, you know? Okay, so Krishna arranged that for 1 year before I came to the temple and met devotees. I was reading Prabhupada's book and the association. It was penetrating, you know. And then after that, I came to temple probably like, I guess, like 1973. And the San Francisco temple was a whole, you know, circus, you know, just of everything going on, and nobody knew exactly what's going on. Sunday feast, if somebody spilled some sweet rice, the devotees would just go right down and suck it up for the guests. Yeah. And then for breakfast, there'd be like a little plate with some, you know, a little bit of Mahaprasadam and different kitri on it. And they put some of the flower petals on it. And I didn't know if I was supposed to eat the flower petals or not. You know, it was a whole strange program. People were trying to figure out, how's it go? Jayarada Madhava Punjabi Hari. Jayarada Madhava Punjabi Hari. Yeah, it was like a very strange environment. And then Prabhupada was coming, and I had some physical contact and some incredible experiences with Prabhupada. And then Radha Damodar came through, right, with Tamal Krishna Maharaj, with the whole bus program and everything else. And that was, of course, a giant internal conflict also, you know, going back and forth, you know. Yeah, it was a very strange process. And I was trying to get my wife involved. She's a very nice person, but everything was just so strange and so different, you know. So I took her to the Sunday feast, and we're sitting there, and then, you know, she's hearing the lectures for the first time and Krishna consciousness. And then Tamal Krishna Maharaj gave the lecture, and he was walking around afterwards just talking to people. And we were sitting there, and he came up, and I looked at him, and there was, you know, some rapport that, well, okay, this person's interested. And so he kind of looked at the prasadam on the floor and scowled, you know, kind of sat down and started talking to me. And my wife was listening. And he said, basically, he said, you know, she's gonna drag you down from becoming Krishna consciousness, so you should leave her. I mean, it wasn't quite that direct, but it was almost like that. And that was his preaching to us, you know. And so I had, you know, it's a whole different relationship. My connection with Prabhupada was through, you know, senior godbrothers like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, but especially intensely through Hansa Duda, Bhakti Swarup Damodar Swami, and Jayananda. And they had so much intense contact with Prabhupada and so on. And so, yeah, with my connection. But yeah, there are other sources of connection and so on. So we should all feel, you know, that's some ways that's a test of anybody who's a disciple of Prabhupada, how they're being transparent, you know, via media to Prabhupada and stuff. Yeah, yeah. So had so many different relationships with different devotees. And of those three, Swarup Damodar,
Jayananda and Hansaduda, they all respected Maharaj. They all had this respect for him. But Hansaduda and Tamal Krishna Maharaj were like, their backgrounds were so similar. Hansaduda was from Germany, and I think Maharaj's family was from Austria. And so right away they had so many things in common. Everything should be meticulous, everything should be organized, everybody should be brave, this and stuff. But simultaneously they had this natural competition. Hansaduda told me that one time in Vrindavan, I think maybe Maharaj was there, Tamal Krishna Maharaj, and Madhu Visa and Bhagavan, and they all were like alpha males. They all wanted to be in control, and no, you're doing this is wrong. You should do that. You should do this, and of course trying to do the management in India at that time in 1973 or 4 or something like that. And it was going back and forth, and then they were all coming to Prabhupada and complaining about other people and their management styles, and they had their men, and their men would conflict with somebody else's men. And then Prabhupada would say, "All right, okay, you become president." Okay. Then Hansuduta said this went on for some time. Hansuduta was explaining until finally Prabhupada was changing temple presidents like 3 times a day, you know. And so they started having to ask each other, are you the temple president now? Yeah. And so finally they said they began to figure out what Prabhupada was doing, saying that it's never going to be perfect, and you have to learn how to relate to each other, and work together for Krishna's satisfaction and so on. So that's kind of all what I was just maybe thinking is that, we all have different relationships with Krishna, with Maharaj, and several times Maharaj gave me the wrong advice, and later on he admitted that several times, but other times not, So I had a different relationship with him and these things, but simultaneously very intense relationship, And so a final point, I was thinking the same thing today about today's verse about the city of Mathura and the Yadus and so on. Exactly the same point that Maharaj gave us. So many. What's the word in Spanish? Edificios. So many edifices, buildings, and physical institutions, right? Which Prabhupada said that initiation is a formality, but not a meaningless formality. How many people here are married or have been married, whatever? How many people on your wedding day were nervous? Yeah, you weren't? Yeah, it's all fixed. It's all planned out. It's all going to happen. But then you begin to realize, today I'm going to make the vows in front of all these people. And if I don't pull through with it, I'm going to look like a real moron and everything else. So that it's a building. Yeah, but it's not just a building, right? It's a whole process and everything else. And the second thing is that, then it's not just that, but it's the training, the inspiration, the life that go into the people. So Prabhupada would always introduce people so many times. Oh, he's Hansaduda's man, or he's so-and-so's man. Yeah, Prabhupada respected that. But also he was strict about his position as founder Acharya. One letter, devotee asked Prabhupada, can I call, Bhagavan Guru? And Prabhupada said, yes, but you also must always remember who is your real guru. And he said that. It's interesting because, both things are true. Trinadapi Sunichena. And so that's the only thought I was having, that it's not just, I see that it's not just, the buildings and the physical, herencia, I'm thinking in Spanish, inheritance that comes down, but it's also that people have a living relationship with other people as guru in different formats. And then what is Tamal Krishna Maharaj like now? If he came in the room right now, you think he'd be the same as he was 20 years ago? Where is he? Where has he been the last 20 years? Has he been in Navadvip with Nimai and Prabhupada directly? Yeah. So we're all growing. Maharaj is growing, we're growing. And then the people who are getting in line with us and taking that line, they're also growing, And how will Tamal Krishna Maharaj be recognized in the Parampara 100 years from now? I don't know. It's not a dead thing. Maybe growing more, maybe whatever. Yeah, it's just interesting. So thank you all very much. Tamal Krishna Maharaj ki.
So not all the God brothers and God sisters are here, but we have some Zoom. People are going to be Zooming. First we had His Holiness Vyasa Swami.
Thank God. Is that too bright? Let me see. Good morning, everyone. Hare Krishna. Please accept my obeisances. So glories to Srila Prabhupada. Glories to Srila Gurudev. Nice to see everyone here. Is it possible to let me know how many devotees are present in the cultural hall, Ganga hall? Because we don't see on the screen here. We only see those who are attending by Zoom. Is that possible? Or someone at least tell me how many people are there? I can't see. Okay. Very nice turnout. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing. Thank you for sharing. My thoughts today are it's really nice to hear that as a quote unquote zone, Dallas and Houston, and maybe some other satellite places are getting together again in Houston, and then the next year in Dallas, and the next year in Houston. This is one of Goswami Maharaj's desires, that the devotees get together on his Vyasa Puja day. And today is actually a good day, as we say many times, to just reflect, like individually, what Goswami Maharaj had instructed us as individually. Each one of us, I'm sure, got many instructions. I certainly got many instructions from him. And I'm sure everyone here who has a relationship with Tamal Krishna Maharaj must have had at least a little something. And then we can go and reflect just a bit of it beyond our own individual instruction that we receive, to see the instructions that Srila Gurudev gave to each community. My understanding was it was just Houston and Dallas at that time. And I know that over the years, he would say different things for Houston, different things for Dallas. Not that they were different instructions, but for the different natures of the different projects, he gave certain instructions. And as individuals, we should reflect on that. And as a, what did you call it, yatra, be it Houston or Dallas or whatever, to see if we're actually lining up with his vision for each temple. Each temple is autonomous, and that was set up that way. And also, we can reflect on his instructions as a zone, the zone. What was his vision for the whole zone? I'm not sure. He never really shared that with me, like for the whole zone, Dallas and Houston, a little bit here and there, some things. Some of them were quite strong, some of them very sweet, as is the nature of Goswami Maharaj. And we saw that he was quite ahead of time. Good morning, Brahmatirtha. We can hear you. Your microphone is on, Brahmatirtha. Thank you. Yeah, he was quite a visionary. We saw that when he went to Dallas and made it into a Grihastha community rather than a Brahmachari Brahmachrini temple-based project, and quite successful. We have devotees that have lived there for decades and decades and decades, and it was due to the leadership and to the vision of Goswami Maharaj's for the future of each and every project that he was involved with. So just these few things I wanted to share today, so that we can, I want to just focus, just like I'm sitting here looking at a picture of Prabhupada. I have Goswami Maharaj on my altar also. And look, it's a small picture of him in front of the temple holding his danda. And he's with me every day. He's in my prayers every day. I see him every day. I speak to him every day. And the relationship is quite sweet that way. One time he was asking me about my deities, and I said, no, I do Manasa Puja. And he said, oh yes, Manasa Puja can be very, very, I don't know if the word was intense, but the word was engaging, or very much a good way to focus on your puja is through Manasa Puja. And so this is something that I do daily. When I do my Manasa Puja to my deities, who Padaduli Mataji is so kindly taking care of, much, much nicer, giving him so many meals a day. And so, yes, I just appreciate that everyone is here and celebrating the Vyasa Puja day of Srila Gurudev. And I wish I was there. I almost came, but I realized it was like too short a notice for me to get all the way down there. Okay, I pray you all have a wonderful day, and I pray you receive the blessings of Srila Gurudev, Srila Prabhupada, our entire disciplic succession, Shri Gauri and Radhe Sham, and we all find no impediments on our journey back to Sri Vrindavan. Srila Gurudev ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you, Maharaj. Next speaker will be His Grace, Garuda Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. My heartfelt pranams to all on this auspicious day of Tamal Krishna Goswami's appearance day. See, I'm trying to find a few notes that I had. They seem to have disappeared. Well, I can speak. Well, I was wondering what I would say today. And I was thinking, oh, I remember this about Tamal Krishna Goswami, and I remembered that about Tamal Krishna Goswami, and so many times that we spent together, and many colorful events and conversations and so on. And then I was thinking, well, it's obvious I should speak about his name, Tamal Krishna. And first, I'd like to assert that Prabhupada states that our Krishna consciousness movement is not a religion. It is a process for purifying the heart. So why do we purify the heart? To learn how to love, and how to love purely and selflessly. So Tamal Krishna Goswami, his name is so apropos to this most basic instruction that Prabhupada gives us. Why? Well, Tamal, the Tamal tree, is known to be a beautiful dark-colored tree whose natural beautiful color is often used as a way to describe Krishna's complexion. Even Radha, in a certain Leela, embraces the Tamal tree, mistaking the tree for Krishna himself. So the name really is connotatively referring to the exquisitely, supremely beautiful Krishna. So this is so, I think, a beautiful name for a Goswami, because Goswami he always knew the power of the beautiful to awaken attraction and love for divinity. The music with Vishnu Jan in the 1970s, the architectural interior design for the Dallas Temple in the 1980s, the dramatic presentation of the Jagannath Priya Natakam later on in the 80s, along with the drama on Prabhupada's Antya Leela. And finally, the beauty found in the exquisite theological truths of Vaishnava thought, as demonstrated in his rigorous work, A Living Theology of Krishna Bhakti. Goswami himself was very attractive to scholars who would not know the beauty of Krishna Bhakti or would not understand the theological truths of Vaishnava theology. I personally saw him walk into a professional arena, impeccably dressed, of course, freshly shaven, ironed, silky saffron robes. And all these years I was disguised. So I thought, but all the scholars knew I was a bhakta, but it was de-emphasized. And in fact, I was instructed by my devotee consultants that I had to not dress as a Vaishnava when I went into the university. In fact, Rupanuga, this is the senior Rupanuga, called me up one day and said, "You're going to Harvard, you have to cut the shika and you have to dress normally." And I said, "Why?" He said, "Because Harvard doesn't give doctorates out to people looking like you." So Tamal Krishna Goswami proved that that wasn't necessarily the case, Cambridge being equally as esteemed institution as Harvard. But Goswami dressed impeccably, and he attracted scholars in a way that I could not have anticipated. There was one lady whom I had known for years and years. In fact, she had actually gotten on a train in India in, I think it was 1957, and was sitting across the aisle from Prabhupada on that train. So she actually saw Prabhupada in those early days, somewhat early days, but she seemed to have a bit of a negative impression of devotees, and she just challenged even the theology of Krishna Bhakti itself. Well, when I would interact with her. In fact, she was at the Center for the Study of World Religions for one of the years that I lived there, up in Cambridge, Massachusetts. And we would have very nice talks. We had each other over for dinner, but she always was had a bit of a sneer on her face when, speaking about Krishna Bhakti. But once she met Goswami, something about Goswami melted her hardened heart. And I was so amazed that this was possible with this lady. So I personally witnessed things like this, and what an incredible gentleman Goswami was, inviting scholars over for prasadam. And there were so many times that I witnessed Goswami interacting with scholars. So he, like the Tamal tree, reflected something of Krishna for these scholars and in the artistic work that he had done throughout the decades. And in the book I'm completing on Goswami, it is this that is my very focus. So I say to all of you, let us all learn from Goswami's amazing example of how to bring beauty into the lives of others so that their hearts may be opened to the pure love of divinity. Thank you so much. All glories to Tamal Krishna Goswami. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much, Peru. Next speaker is a previous Houston resident, Ramatirtha Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. I hope you can hear me okay. I am at New York for the Rath Yatra, and so finding a quiet place in New York City, impossible, but I'm doing my best. I'll tell a short story. And first, I want to thank you for inviting me, and especially thank my friend Rasi Kendra for arranging a time that could work for me. The story I'm going to tell is quite mystical. I don't mean to imply that Tamal Krishna Maharaj had mystical powers. I leave that for others to deal with. I do want to say that by associating with great devotees, mystical things happen. I had that experience with Prabhupada, and I had that experience with Tamal Krishna Goswami. So we're going to go back in time to around 1978. I was in Houston. I was the life membership director, and we were putting on the first big major festival in ISKCON that was the attendees were mostly the Indian diaspora. The first wave of visas that were issued for Indians was for engineers. There was no Silicon Valley, and they flocked to Houston. So since I spoke some Hindi, I ended up being life membership director. And we were putting on this huge festival. And Janardhan was temple president, and Pashupati and I were organizing this very large festival. I believe it was a Ramnomi festival, with the players coming and all kinds of wonderful things happening. And somehow we had committed some offense to Goswami. I cannot even recall what it was, but I knew we had really did something very, very neglectful, and it really was wrong what we had done. We just hadn't considered him properly at this festival. And he was upset about it, but didn't say much to us. We just knew we had really blew it. So, festival's about to begin. And then this is the old Rosalie Street Temple. Then the breaker blew. It was a Saturday night. The breaker actually blew, and it was an old style fuse. And there was no way to get another one on a Saturday. Only going to an electrical supply store could possibly work, and everything was closed. Then we hadn't anticipated that it might rain, and it started raining, and this was an outdoor festival. Then we had rented a refrigerator truck to keep all our boga in for the huge feast. We're expecting hundreds and hundreds of people. Again, the very first large festival in America with the Indian diaspora. And the truck broke. Everything was going wrong. Rain, no electricity, boga truck dying. What to do? So Janardhan and I were just bewildered. We went up to Goswami's room. We went in and we said, we realized the offense we had committed, whatever it was. And we said, we're really sorry we've done that. At least the one thing we can do, everything's going wrong, at least we can apologize to you for that offense of neglect we had done. At that point, Goswami said, oh, it's okay. Not such a big deal, but thank you for saying that. And then I went outside, and Pashupati came running up to me and says, I don't know how it happened. He was quite good at electrical matters. The electricity came back on. That's impossible. The rain clouds cleared. The refrigerator truck started working. People started flocking in, and the festival turned out to be a huge success. Now, afterwards, Pashupati was life membership director, co-director with me. We sat down and we said, we just witnessed a miracle. Now, what's the lesson here for me and maybe for all of us. The lesson was when we serve the devotee and please the devotee, and if we commit an offense and we apologize to the devotee, many mystical, wonderful things happen. Again, I'm not trying to say that Tamal Krishna Maharaj had a mystical power. That's not the point I'm trying to make. I am making the point that when we take a devotee like Tamal Krishna Maharaj, who was so dedicated, sold out to Prabhupada, suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, but always stuck at Prabhupada's feet. When we serve someone like that, many mystical things happen. And that's the lesson I learned from that day. So we are all very fortunate that we, even though he left us decades ago now, which is still shocking for me to believe, we can still continue to serve him. And by continuing to serve, many wonderful mystical things will happen. As Yamuna has said, we live in a world of Krishna magic. We just have to connect to it. Thank you very much. I will now go back to the Rath Yatra parade. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. And next speaker will be His Grace Yudhisthira Prabhu.
Okay, can everyone hear me now? Hello, Haribol? We're okay? All right, I guess I'll start unless somebody speaks up if they can't hear. This may be very disjointed because I got inspired by both Hanumat Prasad Maharaj and Brahmatirtha Prabhu. Brahmatirtha Prabhu, I'll just say a couple of quick things, which were little miracles. Some of you will remember there was a Rath Yatra in Dallas, still when we were doing it small, way before the Festival of Joy. And storm clouds, bad weather forecast, everything. It's raining. We don't know what to do. And then all of a sudden, I think some of you will remember there was a straight wind blast, like an 80-mile-an-hour wind blast. And the skies turned blue, the rain stopped, and it was time for the Rath Yatra to start. So that was one. The other thing was the dioramas in the Dallas temple in the hallway are of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, as we know. And they were ordered, and somebody, I forget who in the Dallas community, owned an import company for marble. And they were supposedly added in crates to that shipment. 2 years passed, they never showed up, they're lost, nobody can find it. We tried tracing. I went to the DFW airport where they were received so many times. On Gaur Purnima, on the third year, we get a call and there's a delivery truck that pulls up and these 5 or 6 dioramas in crates get delivered on Gaur Purnima. So that's some. Historically, Rupanuga Prabhu was reflecting on his years. For me, 1971 in Buffalo, SUNY Buffalo was the first time I saw the devotees, and it was the lights of Trivikram Maharaj, Rupanuga, Burijan, Gunagrai Maharaj, and so many others. And I believe I ate a Simply Wonderful. It was in the fall of 1971, but I thought, wow, they're too weird. And then, anyway, it moved along, different incidents. And then, as many of you know, I blessed to see Prabhupada in 1975 the first time, and first time to Vrindavan, and actually it was 76. So it's 54 years since seeing the devotees, and this is 50 years for me since really seeing the devotees and getting plucked, you might see. I went to Vrindavan 2 times in the last 2.5 years. And that was after many, many years. And this last time, I just want to share if anybody goes there and they can sort of try to remember. I sat under the Tamal tree in the Mayapur Vrindavan Trust courtyard, chanting japa a little bit, every day. And it was the happiest I've been sitting under the Tamal tree in easily 25 years. There's no question. Just peaceful, connected. Yeah, needless to say, like so many of us, when I leave this body, which could be any moment, I just want to be. Sorry, I took an anti-crying medication, but it's not working yet quite enough. Yeah, I just want to be in Gurudev's arms and bow down at his feet. So here's a dream. And then I'll backtrack a little bit and share. Okay, so one dream was he showed up. I was lying in bed. I woke up, but was still lying down. And he sat on the side of the bed and he starts giving me things to do, you know, like one thing after another, like the old days, with the little pad and the kurta pocket, the little pen. Giridhar Swami set me up with that in the early 80s. And yeah, so he started telling me, and I was like realizing so much time had passed. I was older and I didn't have the capacity, you know, to absorb that intensity anymore. I thought, because obviously I know I'm my body and I'm not the spirit soul. So in that mental condition, therefore, I held back, you know, and sort of rejected that service at that moment in that dream. The next day, he came in my dream again, and it was just an arm reaching down from above to grab my hand. And to me, that represents eternal love, relationships. It's a deepening of faith. Some of you know that I went through a bit of a crash, you might say, after the 17 years that Gurudev called me his permanent secretary. My capacity was always engaged for management, organization, details, all that sort of thing, taking on projects, working hard. And that was with Peter Burwash and with Srila Gurudev. So that was, you know, from 1975 all the way through to 2000. That was me. And obviously that's my nature. The part of me, which I'm realizing now, which I didn't address, was this part, the most important part. It was sublimated for various things, my samskaras, my karma, my upbringing, Peter Burwash's non-emotional nature. Gurudev was emotional, but he wasn't quite totally evolved as much. Anyway, he hadn't progressed in his life. I think it's fair to say this, based on what Hanuman Prasad Maharaj said, as much as he would later in life. And how can we say the Guru is not perfect? And perfect implies that someone has reached perfection. And we know that spiritual life is dynamic. It's ever growing and ever changing. So the absolutism of faith is necessary, but there's also something else going on. And I remember Gurudev said, you know, in terms of personal growth going on. And I remember Gurudev, he went to see Sudama, Prabhupada disciple, as he was passing away. He had AIDS, as some of you might recall. And he had a tilak tattooed on his nose and forehead, so he wouldn't remember Krishna. And he was outside ISKCON, let's just say, for many, many years. But Krishna doesn't let us go so easily. And Gurudev went there to be with him, to sit with him, which shows the heart, a lot of the heart, making that effort to put everything else aside to be with one of his god brothers as he was leaving his body, who hadn't been involved in the movement in decades. Yeah, so I have a little bit to say about the Philippines. Ananda Vrindavan, you reminded me of this. Most of us know, you know, we remember Balaram, who left his body. Pardon me? Balaram Prabhu, who left his body. We know Yogamaya. We knew Kamadenu, who left her body. And we know Ananta Vrindavan and so many other Filipino devotees. Gurudev had a special place in his heart for his disciples in various countries and culturally. And we can conclude that because we all know how much he enjoyed the humor and the lightheartedness of someone like Balaram, Yogamaya. When Kamadhenu was there, he would so lovingly say, Kamadhenu, Kamadhenu, like that, and call her in. But it was very playful and lovingly, and he knew what each of us could take. So he was very sweet with those who were most soft. In Israel, he had a totally different mood. In Switzerland, a friend of mine is writing a book and about the Swiss Yatra and the history, and that's going on also. So the question is, did Gurudev grow? And we all know he was softening up as time passed. I was in England with him in 2001, doing workshops for the Lawn Tennis Association. I stayed with Gurudev for a few days. Chaitanya Chandraprabhu was there. Sarvabhauma was there. And also Gopal Raj, as far as I recall. They were the team. And Chaitanya Chandraprabhu was just visiting. And at that time, as we're starting to learn, it's not easy to chant 16 rounds for most of us, based on our conditioning, if we're married, if we have kids, if we're working, all that. And I had fallen off my commitment of 16 rounds. Prabhupada said minimum 16 rounds because he expected us to chant throughout the day also and be conscious of the Maha Mantra living with us. It's a living mantra. Anyway, I told Gurudev, I was just in the mood of being completely transparent. And I told Gurudev, I'm not chanting all my rounds. And he put his arm around me and said, I think you're doing better than ever. And as someone said, I can't remember who, he knows our hearts. So that is the penetrating thing. Yeah, maybe one more comment. Sorry, I do have notes. My Vyasa Puja offering in the book opens up some of my emotional challenges, let's just say. But my heart is in the right place, and I'm trying to do as much service as possible. I know I'm not showing up at programs too much right now, but suffice it to say I love all of you. And please accept my obeisances. Vancha kalpatru vishta kripa sindhu evacha. Jairanam pavanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo. Srila Gurudev ki jai.
Thank you, Prabhu. Next speaker will be one of Gurudev's god sisters, Jaladosa Mata. Is she here? Okay, maybe we'll go with somebody else for right moment. One of Gurudev's godbrothers, Meenakshi Prabhu, will speak.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for the invitation. So many good faces, they know familiar faces right here. Thank you very much, everyone right here. I joined the movement in 1973, and 1975 I got initiation from Srila Prabhupada in Caracas, Venezuela. And by that time, everybody was, Mahara was famous from the beginning, 73. Everybody knew Tamal Krishna Mahara. Everybody knew what he was doing, Vishnu Jana, traveling. Some people say he was taking the body from temple, but that's not true. That's not true, because Sri Vikan was involved. So anyway, 75, Srila Prabhupada went to Caracas, Venezuela, and at that time, it was a rumors that he wanted to go to Brazil. So two devotees over there, Javi and Harisharana. Javi is very famous. He's very musician, very famous, Javi. He was almost the first devotee in Caracas, Venezuela. and Haricharana was helping him. So they say, we have to go to Brazil. Let's go to Brazil, the hijacking. And they took, you have to cross the Amazon to go to Brazil from Venezuela. So in one little town, they was doing Sankirtan, collecting money. And one lady was, Haribon. They was talking, Haribon. So when they look, they went, that was Tamal Krishna Maharaj's mother. So she gave donation immediately. She was so happy, took it to dinner and everything. And then they left. And she immediately called Tamal Krishna Maharaj and mentioned what happened and everything. And then one time, after 2 months later, Haricharana was the servant of Rameshwara Swami in Los Angeles, headquartered by that time, the ISKCON. And Tamal Krishna, so, oh, you Haricharana? See, okay, listen. I mentioned to Prabhupada, you was in the Amazon preaching. He was so happy, so happy. He was, the Indian getting the communication, so really nice. So anyway, that was Tamal Krishna Maharaj closed the service to Srila Prabhupada. It really meant everything that he did in life to please Srila Prabhupada. That's the connection we have in this movement to project for the next generation what we're going to do for Krishna. We are right now sitting right here, listening beautiful story, listening the Harinam Mahamantra. But what are we going to do from now to the next generation? That's the question. Today, every day for the devotee have to be the first day in devotional service. It's like Hanuman Prasad Maharaj. He say, if Tamal Krishna will be here right now, what are we going to do? That's the question. So the best to do is to keep chanting seriously the holy name and projecting to people what Krishna means to them. What Krishna consciousness is the resort to get all the Dukkhalayana Sakswa, stay away from Dukkhalayana Sakswatan, this temporary misery. So anyway, it's a 5 minutes, everybody. So my time is over. But anyway, thank you very much, everyone. Thank you for celebrate Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj. At the same time, I remember Srila Tamal Krishna because the good quality of the devotees, disciple. Disciple means discipline. And this disciple of Tamal Krishna, they build it together. So that's what really the meaning of this Krishna consciousness. The discipline we do, the discipline we have, and what we have to offer to Krishna. We have gift for Krishna, do the best for Krishna. Thank you very much, brother. Hare.
Next, we have a special presentation. It requires two speakers. We have Srimanta Prabhu and his good wife.
Panchakalpatarivasa Kripasindavicha Patitanam Pavavinu Vaishnava Namo Namaha. So we brought today a little something that was given to my wife some years ago, approximately a month or so before Tamal Krishna passed his body. She was supposed to stitch it up, but it wasn't timely. Anyway, so we still have it, and I'm given to Rasakindra Prabhu to take care of it from now on. I should like to speak about this.
Haribo. Yeah, I was fortunate enough to received his pajamas from Mother Shoda and Mahari. And I was in the process of making him another pair of silk pajamas when he left his body. And we just decided to bring it here today for Rasa Kendra. And I had the good fortune of going to Dallas. I even had a dog with me, and Tamal Krishna allowed me to keep it in the ashram there. And anyway, I wasn't able to receive initiation from him, but I did take first and second from Narayan Maharaj. And my husband, of course, took first from Srila Prabhupada and then from Narayan Maharaj. Anyway, that's all I wanted to say. Thank you. Say anything.
Tamal Krishna called me from Chicago one time after I was in it for a few months and asked me to come and drive one of the buses that we used to do Radha Damodar. So here's a picture of Tamal Krishna on the right. Prabhupada's on the left-hand side, and Vishajan is doing all the fanning. If anybody cares to see it, I'll be glad to share.
I don't know. I mean, that he was instrumental in giving you to tell him.
That's okay.
Say
Hare
that.
Krishna.
Say that. Tell everyone that.
What are you doing? No, it's finished.
Okay. Don't you tell him that?
No.
Our next speaker will be Sucharan Cham.
In that picture, I'm holding the first canto. Yeah, on the left-hand side, I'm holding the canto, first canto. Hare Krishna. Jai Jai Shri Neela Madhav, Radha Neela Madhav Ki Jai. Thank you, all my devotees over here. I know so many of them. I'm not really qualified to speak anything about Guru Maharaj in front of all the stalwart devotees present here. But I want to take little courage and say a few words, definitely. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayati girim jat kripatamaham bande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Hari Om Tat Sat. So I just want to start off with a small detail sideline. We recently had a very severe plane crash in India, Air India plane, and the entire plane burnt into ashes. But there was a lady who was carrying a Srimad Bhagavad Gita as it is with her, and the entire plane burnt into ashes, but the Bhagavad Gita was still perfectly intact. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, in 1981, when I first went to the temple, Radha Kalachandji, I attended the Janmashtami program in the evening, and Gurudev gave the class, the Janmashtami class, and just that one class changed my entire life that evening. I cannot tell enough how that impacted me so seriously in my life. So I think very much that we have this song in Bengali, Jodi Prabhupada na hoito, tobe ki hoito. But for me, Jodi Tikeji Tamal Krishna Goswami na hoito, tobe ki hoito. I feel that way. So it was a big change in my life right from that time. So that is very important because what comes to my mind is the verse from Bhagavad Gita 3.21. Jat jat acharita shrestha tat tad eva tarajana sa jat pramana kurute sa jat pramana kurute lokastat anuvartate. So we should not emulate, we should follow. And I'm very confident that if we follow in the footsteps of Gurudev, then we can be very much successful in our spiritual life. I feel like that, really, because over these 44 years, I have met him quite a few times in my life, and I'll never forget the 1984 or 85 when we had the Ratha Yatra around our temple community. Just as we were entering, after finishing the entire round, we were just entering that Kalachandji, our main door, where the staircase goes up to the hall sanctuary. So my eyes and his eyes, we met like this, and he was wearing those big cap. Those days he used to wear during Ratha Yatra. And the smile, I'll never forget. The smile that he gave me, I could see the halo around it. Honestly, I could see that halo around him. And that was a very big change in my life to just experiencing that. So he's not there, but he's definitely Vaishnava never dies. So he was the true Goswami in my life. I've seen. So that is the experience I wanted to share with you all. Thank you, Rashikendra Prabhu, for inviting all of us. And we really enjoy the visit over here. Jai Jai Srila Gurudev Vyasa Puja Mahotsav ki Jai. Hari Bol. Thank you, devotees.
Thank you, Prabhu. Our next speaker will be Nartamananda Prabhu. He's way in the back. Jog. Run. Why are you way in the back? You asked to speak.
Hare Krishna. Gotcha. See, when my older god brother, instructs me, I snap to it. Did you guys notice that? That's the training. First of all, I just wanted to tell everyone here that it is amazing to see what all of you do and what has been accomplished here. And our Guru Maharaj, I mean, he was involved, right? But seeing what you're doing is just phenomenal. It is so inspiring. It's just, it's hard to put words to the happiness. I mean, I'm sure without any doubt in my mind, he would be so happy and really bless all of you again and again and again and again. It's just a phenomenal what's going on here. The preaching, the temple, the deity worship, the restaurant, this hall, these events. When I was thinking about what to say, two things came to me. One was how our Guru Maharaj, he was very systematic in training all of us in Krishna consciousness. And there was a new couple in the temple room this morning just before greeting the deities. And I got a chance to talk with them for a minute. And what we were sharing with each other was how normally our spiritual life is put together kind of from random experiences, random classes, random events. But what I found, what was coming to me was that our Guru Maharaj, he really trained us in a very systematic way. I can remember like you could see even in the tape ministry today, he had series of lectures, just like if you were to go to a university course where you'd have like the Prahlad Maharaj series, the Absolute Surrender series, the Queen Kunti series, and then when a group, himself included, His Holiness Giriraj Maharaj, His Grace Burijan Prabhu, Mother Jagatarini, Danadhar Maharaj, and others formed this Vrindavan Institute for Higher Education. And then later they moved it with Bhakti True Maharaj to Mayapur. The whole idea was to give us this systematic training, you see? And it has such a deep bearing on us if we open ourselves up to that. Another point that I wanted to make was how innovative he was. Like I was just a kid when I first started practicing Krishna consciousness. I was 17 and promoting myself now. But really, I don't know what your experiences are like, but with a 17-year-old American kid, but he tolerated me and he took me with him all over the world. In fact, it was here in Houston at our temple downtown. We called it the Transcendental Shoebox. How many of you used to go to that? I wanted to see. So many are from the Transcendental Shoebox. Okay, that's great because on one of the devotees told me on June 11th and 12th or 12th and 13th, you're having July, they're having the installation 40th year of celebrating the 40th anniversary for the installation of Shri Shri Radhanila Madhava. So I think all of you should speak because you were all here at that time. All those shoebox people. But what I wanted to say about him being innovative was he brought us, I got the chance to go to Hong Kong and to China with him in the very early days, like 1980 was. And he had gone there in 1979, and he told me that there was an Indian businessman, a Sindhi businessman. We called him Mr. Arjun. So I don't know if you all know this, but Mr. Arjun was the one who paid for Radhanila Madhava and paid for them to be put on a jet and flown to the United States. But he was the owner of this company called Lee Jeans, not Levi's, but you might have seen them here in America, Lee Jeans. And what when we first arrived in Hong Kong, Srila Gurudev went around to all of the Indian families and Indian business people, and he spoke to them and asked them to help to establish the movement in Hong Kong. So what they came up with, the plan they came up with, was Mr. Arjun, who was moving his equipment for Li Jin's into mainland China, said, "Why don't you come as my business partner?" So they went in. He told me that the hotel that they stayed in had a 20-foot chain link fence around it with barbed wire, and they had a police chaperone who used to sit with them wherever they would go or whenever they would talk with somebody. So at that time back in Hong Kong, when he brought me, we had a small, tiny apartment. It was called 5 Home and Tin Street. And I don't know if you know this group, but they're called the Moonies. They used to, we were lumped in with them forever. I don't know what happened to those guys, but when I got to Hong Kong in 1980, they had all been arrested by the Hong Kong police and tossed out of the country. So Srila Gurudev, he wanted to legalize the movement in Hong Kong because the idea was that Hong Kong would go back to China, and that way China, the movement would be legal in China. So he wanted us to go out and do Sankirtan, but he didn't want us to get arrested. And so he came up with this system. I remember he said, "Okay, I want you guys to dress as professionals. Put on your best clothes." So I remember I put on my best clothing, and I came in and to see him, he said, "That's your best clothing?" So immediately he gave me money, like I can't remember what it was, like a couple $100, and he sent me out, to go buy shoes and pants and a nice shirt and everything, and then he made this survey, and he had business card printed that's called us personal consultants. And the survey was really interesting. I still remember it. It had like all your personal questions, like your name and are you married and this and that. But then it had 3 metaphysical questions on it. Like, do you believe if you do good things for people, good things will happen to you in return? Do you believe that in a life after this? So then we would go, he had gotten $3,000 from the devotees here in Houston from the shoebox. He showed me, he had $3,000, and there was one Prabhupada disciple in Hong Kong, Yasumati Sutta Prabhu, and he had written the manuscript for the Bhagavad Gita in Chinese, but it wasn't printed yet, and an Ishopanishad. He took the $3,000 and he spent it, and he printed the first editions of the Bhagavad Gita and Ishopanishad, and then he gave it to the books to, there was myself, and there were a couple of other devotees there doing this. I think Gopal Prabhu came after some time, or he came on the second trip. Anyway, and then Arjun Krishna Prabhu, I remember him being there because he used to call the Chinese cabs slashback razor cabs. Anyway, it's an American joke. But so anyway, we go from office to office, and the plan was, at that time it was all British people, and we'd go to talk to these British managers and say, "We want to open this cultural center in Hong Kong. We want to take a 5-minute survey of your employees. Is that okay?" So then I got to stop right now, so I'm going to can it here. But here's what happened. All right, we took the surveys. A lot of times they tell us come back in the coffee break, come back at lunch, but a lot of times they just let us walk in. We take the survey, then we talk about ISKCON, okay, and we'd have all their personal information, right? And then we'd ask them for a donation to help us to open a center in Hong Kong. People were so generous, they'd give $10, $20, $50. Depending on their donation, we'd give them a book. But if somebody was interested, he said, invite them back to the apartment for lunch. And he would be there every day at lunch, and he would preach. We'd get 2, 3, 4 people coming. And from that 3 weeks that we did that, about 12 people came out of there, say a year or so later, that all got initiated. Okay, so I'm going to stop here. Thank you for your kind attention. I hope you have a wonderful time at this with our Vyasa Puja. Hare Krishna.
Narottam Prabhu was given 4 minutes, but he took 15 minutes. All glories to Narottam Prabhu. Okay, just a brief announcement. Today, we're selling Gurudev's picture book, the big book, which was printed by Radhacharan Prabhu, for $51. Normally it's $108. And then an entire set of 9 books of Gurudev only at $99. So this will be an amazing thing you can walk away with and read all his books. We won't be meeting like this very often, but these books will stay with you forever if you take them. So now we'll 3 more glorification from 3 more devotees, and then we'll have the we'll have the offering. That will be a little break for everybody because there was a request that the food offerings shouldn't interrupt and it's too distracting. So we're going to honor that. So please, now we'll carry on. After the 3 offerings, we'll make our Boga offerings. After that, the Pushpanjali, and then Arati, and then everybody's waiting for Prasadam. I don't have to tell you all that. Hare Krishna.
Our next speaker will be Arjun Krishna Prabhu. Is he in the building? And after that will be Mother Kunti.
Nice to see. Hare Krishna. I would like to thank the Houston devotees, first of all, for welcoming us. Incredible accommodations. Krishna Kripa, Rasi Kendra, and everybody else who was, thank you very much for everything. Rasi Kendra Prabhu paid for our entire dinner last night for about 25 devotees. He refused to take any kind of Lakshmi. Anyway, I have my offering. Mancha Kappa Trivi Shakripa Sindhu Beva Chapatitanam Pavanavio Vaishnavio. I have an offering, but it's only partial, so I'm going to skip it. You all know that I was Tamal Krishna Goswami's personal servant for many, many years, and I got to know him very well. And I seen how he worked and how he trained all of us in Krishna consciousness. And it's so nice to see everybody here celebrating Goswami Vyasa Puja. Look at the size of that cake. Oh my Lord. Jeez. So I could tell a story. This is one of my favorites, and I know a lot of the Dallas devotees heard this, and it has something to do with Narottam. When we were in Hong Kong, we were eating Chinese food for weeks on end, and I was losing weight. I mean, the food was great, but losing some weight. A lot. Huh? No pasta, just noodles. No Mardian. So Narottam came up with the idea.
Prabhuji, you are not going to heat it again, right? That's it, right? That's it, right? Yes, yes. Can you check carrot? Can you check?
Go back to where he came from. So Narottam came up with the idea of, let's make Srila Gurudev a cake. I said, oh, a cake, yeah, let's do it. So he ran down to the grocery store and he got a cake mix.
Betty Crocker. Double fudge devil's food cake. So he made the cake, and I brought it in because I was his servant at the time. I brought it in. I said, Srila Gurudev, we made you something a little different than Chinese food. He says, what is it? So Narottam brought in the cake. He says, what kind of cake is this? Narottam says, it's chocolate cake. He says, I could see that. It's chocolate. Get the box. He says, I want to see the box. So he says, okay. He went and got the box out of the trash. And he says, read what's on the box. He says, Betty Crocker double fudge devil's food cake. And Gurudev looked up at me and Narottam and he says, you're feeding Guru devil's food? Oh, no. So he took his finger and he, like that, he says, go. So we went into that kitchen and within 30 seconds, that cake was gone. I mean, we just stuffed it. During that time, it was amazing because Gurudev was so focused, like Narottam said, we had these little business cards, personal development consultants. Not personal, it was personal development consultant. We all had these little business cards. We all dressed up real nice. We went out distributing books, and each day our book distribution got doubled. Gurudev was like in ecstasy. I mean, he was in so much ecstasy. When I would take his plate to go wash it, there was still some prasadam on there, of course. He says, no, don't take it to the kid. I want you all, the Sankirtan devotees, to eat the remnants right off of the plate. And at that time, there was two German. Go play.
બરાબર છે ઓકે
We don't want any. So, Gurudev was anyway, he let us eat. There's two German devotees that were visiting from Germany to buy electronics. I don't want to take up a lot of time. Anyway, they saw that Gurudev let us eat right off their plate, his plate. And they were disciples of Rishikesh Maharaj. And Harikesh Maharaj, yes, thank you. Harikesh Maharaj. He says, our guru would never let us do that. You guys are really lucky. I says, do you go out on Sankirtan? He says, no, we just sell electronic. I says, go out on Sankirtan and he might let you eat off of his plate. But Gurudev was so focused. I remember the day he was registering Hong Kong as a bona fide nonprofit religious organization. And he had his suit on and he was all decked out, and he was going. I said, Gurudev, do you want me to go with you? So you got some, he says, no, I'll take care of this. So he went and he got it registered. And when we came back from Sankirtan that night, he called a few of us in, Gopal, I think myself, Narottam, and a few other devotees. Who was that Chinese devotee? Hanuman. He called us in. I says, well, Gurudev, what's the result? He went, success. The Hong Kong, the Hare Krishna Hong Kong Yatra is now an official registered nonprofit organization. But Gurudev, it's just one thing after another. His accomplishments are so many. I just want to pull this one last thing up real fast, and it's from Giriraj Maharaj, and it's really strikingly powerful what he said about Gurudev. He says, this is what Giriraj Maharaj says, and he says, everywhere I look in my life, I see him. He is present in every place I visit or stay, in every word I speak or write, in every thought and emotion and desire I have in Krishna consciousness. He is an older brother like no other. So that was what Giriraj Maharaj said. And it's just, if you really look at these words, it's so profound. The love and the relationship and the compatibility that they had together. And I want to thank Giriraj Maharaj, Srila Gurudev. I get choked up real easy because after Srila Gurudev departed, for many, many years, I had no shelter. I mean, he was my shelter. Gurudev was my shelter. But then Giriraj Maharaj, I asked him if I could take shelter of him. And he went up to see him one time up in Gurudev's Darshan room where he stayed. And I brought him a gift, a bead bag, a silk bead bag. And he noticed my bead bag. He says, wow, you have a really nice bead bag, Arjuna. I says, yes. It just so happens that your disciple, Kunja Bihari, brought it back from India for me. I asked him. But not only did he bring me back the bead bag, and I didn't ask him for a shirt, but he brought me a shirt too, a Lord Nrsingadev shirt. I says, he's such a wonderful devotee. Yes, he says, I love him very much. So I says, speaking of bead bags, I have a gift for you. And I gave him the gift, and he opened it up and he held it up. He says, oh, this is a fine quality silk bead bag. I like it, he said. And I paused just for a moment and I looked at him right in his eyes. I says, this is Tamal Krishna Goswami's bead bag. And his eyes got so big, like Jagannath's. I mean, he was like, this is Tamal Krishna Goswami's bead bag? I says, yes. And he held it to his head. He smelled it, held it to his chest. He says, this is one of the best presents I ever got in my life. He says, so we went earlier, real fast, earlier during that, before that conversation took place, he says, just sit down and chant some japa. I got to make a phone call and I got to chant Gayatri. And that's when he mentioned about the bead bag, and that went on. So the point I'm making here is for 2.5 hours, we talked, we laughed, I cried, and it went on. No phone call, no Gayatri. He didn't, none of that happened. It was just 2.5 hours of just talking about Tamal Krishna. I says, Maharaj, it's 10:30 now. I got there at close to 8 o'clock. He says, oh, it's getting late. I have to travel tomorrow. And another point I was making, giving and exchanging gifts. I says, devotees really need to do that more. I like to do that. And that's when I gave him the gift. So at the end of the conversation, he says, all right, I'm going to take her out. But Arjun, I want to give you a gift. But I can't give it to you right now. I'll give it to you tomorrow. I'll give it to Vishnu Priya, his disciple, Mataji. So the next day, I tracked down Vishnu Priya, and he gave me a book, and it was pictures of all the deities in Mayapur on different festival days. It was just a picture book. And he wrote in there, thank you for all your service and your, this and that, and your aspiring servant, I think, Giriraj. But the giving and exchanging. Anyway, he says, Arjun, I'm going to take rest, but I would like to continue this conversation because I could talk about Tamal Krishna Goswami all night long. I says, well, I'll take you up on that. Anyway, it happened, but I don't want to get into it. Thank you, everyone. Hare Krishna. Tamal Krishna Goswami. Tamal Krishna Goswami Vyasa Puja ki jai.
After Mother Kunti, we'll have Gopal, Prabhu, all the Hong Kong people together. Oh, I'm sorry. After Mother Kunti, we'll have Mother Jaladosa. She appeared. What? Oh. You're already here. You already walked all the way.
Thank you. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Tamal Krishna Goswami Iti Namine Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prastaya Bhutale Shrimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nevashe Shinyavadi Paskanta Deshtani. I got to be, first of all, I want to thank Guru Bhakti and Sarvabhauma for allowing me to stay with them and all the Houston devotees. This is just the most beautiful, incredible Vyasa Puja. I mean, this, you can really feel Gurudev's presence here and every molecule. I feel him here and he's observing and interacting. I want to thank Nandini and Kartikeya. They transported me here. I want to thank you very much. And all my god brothers and god sisters, Jayanti and Chandragali, everybody, Mahari and Nartamananta, and all the devotees that bring out so much beauty and diversity of Srila Gurudev and his innovative preaching. My sister looked at me, she said, wait a minute, tomorrow is Tamal Krishna Maharaj's birthday. And I said, yes. So what are you grateful for? What do you think about? And I looked around, I said, look at this restaurant. And Robin and Brownie, they said, that's right. This is Gurudev's inspiration, this restaurant. And this is so beautiful. And they love it here. This is their favorite place to go. They go to so many places in Houston, but they love it. And, I hear about the Hong Kong Yatra. I hear about the Philippine Yatra from Ananda Vrindavan, our beautiful god sister, and just how incredible every nuance and how it's expanding. Just like this transcendental boulder of Giriraj in this ocean, and it's just rippling more and more and more. And it just keeps on rippling. And this is a wonderful, wonderful manifestation. Houston and Dallas coming together. This is Gurudev. This is definitely Gurudev. So I just want to thank you all. I know that, I have so many shortcomings. I'm so fallen, but you tolerate me. And please keep me engaged in service of Guru and Krishna. I need your mercy always. Nitra Kishori, thank you for tolerating me all the way here to Houston. She was my seat partner and her son. Anyway, thank you. Thank you. Srila Gurudev Ki Jai. Jai Vaishnava Sangha Ki Jai.
Okay. After Mother Jaladosa, we'll have Gopal Prabhu. That'll be the last time. I apologize to anybody that wanted to speak, but remember, there's always next year. Like the famous saying, if I don't see you later in this life, I'll see you in the next. Don't be late.
Thank you. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. All glories to Tamal Krishna Goswami. The ceremony of Vyasa Puja is the way we worship the spiritual master. So, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada and all Vaishnavas. Kali Yuga is very prominent, more and more. Unrestricted sex, gambling, eating, meat eating, accumulate money for gratification and intoxication. The meaning of Pavitra Pavitra means clean and clean. It doesn't matter. Sarvya Vastram, Sarva, all, Avastram, condition. In whatever condition is married, remember. Pandarikam, Pandariksham means Krishna. So this way, to impure world, purified. So initiation means purification in this material world. So Sri Vishnu, remember the Supreme Lord. So in this way, the spiritual master is always guiding us to remember Krishna and purify this world, because this is no good. So I'm going to express my gratitude to Tamal Krishna, because every time he was coming to Houston, it doesn't matter when, he always showed to my family and me care, affection, and kindness. So every time when he was coming, he was inviting to my husband to eat with him and talk to him. So always was very kind. So thank you so much, Tamal Krishna Goswami.
Yamata. And now last and least, not this, Gopal Prabhu. I only say that because he's one of the most humble devotees that you ever met.
Hare Krishna. So happy to be here in Houston. Such a family atmosphere. That's what I always appreciated the most when I was here. And I always thought, oh, is it going to be the same when I go to Dallas? I don't know. I really miss this. All the God brothers we grew up with for so many years. Yeah, I was remembering somebody was talking about prasadam. I remember times particularly, I know Brahma Samhita would be there sitting with Srila Gurudev, honoring prasad at his table. And I don't know what he would say, but he would always say something that would catch Brahma Samhita's funny bone, and he would and he would start to laugh. And Gurudev would look at us like, hey, I found some, and he would start feeding more and more, and he wouldn't be able to stop laughing. It'd be hilarious. And it was, anyways, do you remember any of the things he would say? I can't recall anything, but prasadam one time, Mahari. What's that? He can repeat it. Yeah, I could.
Brahma Samhita was standing next to Srila Gurudev in that hallway, a little down from where he stayed in that room there. And I came walking up, and I was like, limping, right? And he said to me, he looked at Brahma Samhita and he said, Chester. And Brahma Samhita practically fell and just laughing so hard,
Hey,
Somebody might not know what it is.
Give him the mic. He's got another one.
Hare Krishna. But no, there was one time we were taking prasadam, and so I'd had 4 girls by that time, and somebody had made like a pie or something. It was real sweet and whatnot. And so Srila Gurudev took one bite of the pie and he looked at me. He said, if you eat this, the next one is going to be a boy. And then when I had a boy, Shava Sundar remembered that. Gurudev said,
Hey, bro, I told you I'd get you up here. We were in travel in Sankirtan one time, and we rendezvoused in a state park with Srila Gurudev. It was in Nebraska, maybe. I don't know if anybody in here was on that, but it was all the travel in Sankirtan vans. Krishna Kripa was there. Someone or other. Yeah, anyways, that was a special time. Somehow or another, I was told, and I don't know if it was a mercy case because I had just gone through this interesting story about being, attempted deprogramming. So anyways, we're out on travel in Sankirtan and we reached the state park to rendezvous with Srila Gurudev to celebrate his Vyasa Puja, which I don't think was on his actual day, but so, and I was told that I won the special marathon that we had to how much money you could collect, and so that I would get to be his servant. He was traveling in that big barth traveling thing. So I was serving, and he wasn't feeling quite well, I remember, and it was kind of a rainy day the first day. So he had some cooks in the front part of the barth cooking for him, and I sat in the back with Srila Gurudev, and they were bringing the food. I think it was like some baked potatoes, sweet corn, chapati, maybe some kind of chickpea halva. Maybe, I don't even know if there was chickpea halva. It's probably much simpler than that. And Srila Gurudev was really had an appetite. He had a cold. He was eating. He says, tell them I want some more baked potato. So I slide the door open. Srila Gurudev would like another baked potato, please. And I close the door and Gurudev's eating. And then we can hear through the doors. They're over there. Gurudev really, really likes the baked potatoes, man. He really likes them. You're really doing a good job with that. Gurudev would just look at me with this snicker on his face like, wow, now they think they're such great cooks because they can make me a baked potato. Oh, man. That was a nice rendezvous. I remember the first night we went into the lake and we surrounded Srila Gurudev with water up to our necks. Srila Gurudev was in the middle and we formed a circle around. And we took our hands on the water and started going boom, 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 and had started doing this kirtan. And it was the most ethereal. It was like we were in a total different world. The kirtan was just incredible. And it was like we weren't even there. It was just, we got transported. That's such a vivid memory of that. Gurudev's competitive spirit on that trip. One day I was also in that park. He wanted to get a little early sun, but he wanted some sun tan lotion or something on to protect him. So I was there because I'd been serving him, and all the other devotees were cleaning out their vans and buses, and Kalachandji came walking by at the same time that he mentioned that. He says, well, one of you two can put this lotion on me. He says, but your hands are dirty. You've been cleaning, you've been doing this. If you can wash your hands, whoever can, in the fire hydrant or the wash hydrant was on the other side of the park, maybe 100 yards, 7,500 yards. He says, whoever can clean their hands first, they can put the lotion on me. So we both took off running. Of course, Kalachandji's wearing shorts. He had been cleaning his van. I was serving Gurudev, so I was in a dhoti and a kurta. We both take off running. I was pretty quick. I got to the water first, got my hands quick, turned around, took off, and about halfway back, my dhoti got tangled in my feet, and I went flying to the ground. Kalachandji comes running by. See you later, sucker. So, anyways, Gurudev always appreciated. There's one time I was in Dallas and he had to leave to go somewhere. I was standing up on that little balcony next to him and he had something. I need to mail this before we go or something. And I said, well, the post office right there, so Gurudev, I can probably run that over there and be back in less than a minute or something like that. And he said, really? He said, okay, here, take it. And took off running. And he actually, when I came back, he was standing there like he had been timing me. Anyways, there are a lot of things we could talk about, but I know this is the roundup. So I appreciate being here. Just being here does bring a lot of memories of Srila Gurudev. Dinanath, I was wondering, I hadn't seen you here. Hare Krishna. Yes, we gave him a beautiful garland at that park. Maha, were you there? No. Yeah, there was an amazing rendezvous. Anyways, we can talk more tonight or sometime. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Srila Gurudeva Ki Jai.
Thank you for everyone for the amazing pastimes. It was like so enlivening. I wish we could do it all day long. But now we have to end. Unfortunately, we're going to take a 10-minute break. It's called this is the first time I've experienced this in Vyasa Puja. It's going to be a Gayatri break. You ever heard that before? Yeah. If you don't have the Gayatri mantras, you can chant around. We're going to take a 10-minute break here for the offering.
So, sorry. So we're going to also recognize all of Srila Gurudev's God brothers, God sisters. We've got gift for them. Meenakshi Prabhu, please come forward. Prabhu, give them the gift. Mother Jaladosh. It's okay, sir. Just then he will give them the gift. Any other Prabhupada disciple? Maharaj is here. Srimanta Prabhu, please come forward. So we really appreciate Gurudev's God brothers and God sisters taking time to come and attend this festival. They are getting a more rare as time goes on. So while we have the association, we are blessed. Meenakshi Prabhu has come from San Antonio. Of course, Jaladosh is here from Houston. Srimanta Prabhu is here from the Houston, from the famous Radha Damodar party. Thank you all so much. There's some gifts here for all of you. Thank you. It's kind of a little heavy, Mother Jaladosh. I don't know if you can carry that. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna. So now there's going to be all the offerings are going to happen while y'all going to take all the Boga offering. And then if y'all can get together. Huh? Oh, Mother Vishnu Priya? Is she here? She's right at the end? Oh, yes. Yes, thank you. And we'll have the Pushpanjali after this Boga offering. So the time now is 12:35. 12:45, we'll gather here for the Pushpanjali. The ladies on that side and on the man on this side. While the prayers are going on, we can offer. If not, it will be too much of a crowd. There's not much of a space here. So we'll follow that system. And after that, we will have Guru Puja. And then we'll have Prasadam. Thank you all so much. Hare Krishna. So kindly repeat. So we're going to start offering the prayers. As we are offering the prayers, you can come and offer the flowers. So you don't have to wait for the end. So that way we can save a lot of time. Om Ajnanati Mirandasya. Hey, the cake is Jnananjana Salakaya. चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरवे नमः। चैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरोः श्रीयुतपदकमलम् श्रीगुरून् वैष्णवांश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजन सहितं श्रीकृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पदान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितंश्च नमा ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति वेदांत स्वामिनिति नामिने। नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे। नमा ओं विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती इति नामिने। श्री वार्षभानवी देवी दयिताय कृपाब्धये कृष्ण संबंध विज्ञान दायिने प्रभवे नमः। माधुर्य उज्ज्वल प्रेमाध्य श्री रूपानुग भक्तिदा श्री गौर करुणा शक्ति विग्रहाय नमोस्तुते। नमस्ते गौरवाणी श्रीमूर्तये दीनतारिणे रूपानुग विरुद्ध अपसिद्धांत द्वंतहारिणे। नमो गौरकिशोराय साक्षात् वैराग्य मूर्तये विप्रलंब रशाम्बोदे पादाम्बोजायते नमः। नमा भक्ति विनोदाय सच्चिदानंद नामिने गौरशक्ति स्वरूपाय रूपानुगबरायते। गौराविर्भाव भूमेस्त्वं निर्देष्ट सज्जन प्रियः वैष्णव सार्वभौम श्री जगन्नाथाय ते नमः। वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्येव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमो महावदान्याय कृष्ण प्रेम प्रदायते कृष्णाय कृष्ण चैतन्य नामिने गौरत्विषे नमः। पंचतत्वात्मकं कृष्णं भक्तरूप स्वरूपकं भक्तावतारं भक्ताख्यं नमामि भक्ति शक्तिकम्। हे कृष्ण करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमोस्तुते जयताम सुरतो पंगो मम मंद मतिर्गति मत्सर्वस्व पदाम्भोज राधा मदन मोहन दिव्य वृंदारण्य कल्पद्रुमादः श्रीमद् रत्नागार सिंहासनस्थो श्रीमद् राधा शील गोविंद देवो प्रस्त्यालिभिः सेव्यमानो स्मरामि श्रीमान् रासरसारम्भी वंशी भट ततस्थितः कर्षन् वेणुष्वनेर्गोपी गोपीनाथ श्रियेस्तु नः तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवास आदि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते तमाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी निति नामिने नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते तमाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी निति नामिने नमा ओम विष्णुपादाय कृष्ण पृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते तमाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी निति नामिने शिल गुरुदेव की शिल गुरुदेव व्यास पूजा महा उत्सव की जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य स्तोत्र सत्य डिवाइन ग्रेस शिल तमाल कृष्ण गोस्वामी शिल गुरुदेव की शिल गुरुदेव की शिल गुरुदेव की शिल प्रभुपाद की Jai Gaur Premanandi. So as you all are continuing to offer, we'll start the Guru Puja now. This is not the right chair for Guru Puja. So we need a proper. So who's going to do Guru Puja? Brahma Samit. Where's the other stand? You can use this. This will hold it. Okay. Wireless. Yeah, this wireless. Send it out.
Shri Guru Charan.
Jaya Guru. Jaya Guru Dev. Jai Jai Guru Dev. Jai
Jai Srila Gurudev. Jai Jai Gurudev. Jai Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudeva. 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 Jai Gurudeva. 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 Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Kati Sadma. It needs to be like this. Shri Guru Charana Padma Kevalabha Kati Sadma. Andu mue savadana mate. Andu mue savadana mate. Yahara prasadeva e bhavatoria. Yahara prasadeva e bhavatoria. Na prapte hoya hoite. Na prapte hoya hoite. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Tete Korea. Guru Mukha Padma Vakya Tete Korea. Arana Puriho Mane Asa Shri Guru Charanirati Ese Yutadmagati. Guru Charanirati Ese Yutadmagati. He prasade pure sarva asa. Ye prasade pure sarva asa. Abgudan diloye janme prabhu se. Abgudan diloye janme prabhu se. Give again hire prokatita. Give again hire prokatita. Prema bhaktiya hote avijavi natsayate. Prema bhaktiya hote avijavi natsayate. Veda gaya hara charita. Veda gaya hara charita. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Aramajanara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Aramajanara Bandhu. Lokanad Lokera Chivana. Srila Gurudev Lokera Chivana. Ha Prabhu Kabodaya Deha Mara Parachaya. Ha Prabhu Karodaya Deha Mara Parachaya. Bayasko Sotapodana. Bayasko Sotapodana. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamajanara Bandhu. Shri Guru Karuna Sindhu Adamajanara Bandhu. Srila Gurudev Patita Pavana. Srila Gurudev Patita Pavana. Ha Prabhu Karodaya Deha Mara Padachaya. Ha Prabhu Karodaya Deha Mara Padachaya. Jai Gurudev Patita Pavana. Jai Gurudev Patita Pavana. Gurudev, 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 Jai Gurudev. Jai Shri Gurudev, Gurudev, Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudeva, 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 Jai Gurudeva. Jai Gurudeva, 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 Gurudeva. Jaya Gurudeva, 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 Gurudeva. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Tamal Krishna Goswami Niti Namine. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravane Pacharine Nivashesha Sunyabhadri Paskatya Dikshata. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Okay. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhaktavinda
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaur Bhaktavinda
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Ramo, Ramo Ramo, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ramo, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare
Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Jai Jai Gurudev. Jaya Jaya Gurudev. Jai Srila Gurudev. Jai Jai Gurudev. Jai Gurudeva, 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 Gurudeva.
Jaya Guru Devo, Guru Devo, Guru Jaya.
Jai Gurudeva, 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 Gurudeva.
Jaya Guru Deva, Guru Deva, Jai Guru Deva.
Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Netai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo. Gora Premanandi.
Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Ashtotarasata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj Goswami Gurudev Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Ashtotarasata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Tamal Krishna Maharaj Gurudev Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Ashto Tarasata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Maharaj Gurudev Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Ashto Tarasata Sri Shrimad His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajagacharya Asto Tarasata Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda Ki Jai Nam Acharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Founder Acharya of ISKCON Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Prem Shikoho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vas Adi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Shri Mayapur Navadvip Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Vyasa Puja celebration of His Divine Grace, Srila Tamal Krishna Goswami Gurudev Ki Jai. Gaura Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga.
Make an announcement.